Propose by midnight or I'm sleeping with him, she said. I reached into my pocket. She smiled, thinking she'd won. I pulled out the ring box I'd been hiding for months. Opened it, closed it, put it back, said no and left. She chased me out screaming, "Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks." The velvet box in my jacket pocket felt heavy, like a lead weight pressing against my ribs. It wasn't just the physical weight of the platinum setting or the diamond I'd spent the last 8 months saving for. It was the weight of the question inside it. I checked my watch. 8:15 p.m. Across the table, Sarah was sighing loudly, scrolling through Instagram with a ferocity that threatened to crack her screen. The candlelight flickered on her face, illuminating the frown that had become her permanent expression over the last 6 months. We were at Le Jardin, the most expensive French restaurant in the city. I had called in a favor 3 weeks ago to get this specific corner table, the one with the view of the skyline. I had spoken to the maitre d' earlier that afternoon to arrange the champagne service for 8:45 p.m., right after the creme brulee. Everything was scripted. Everything was perfect. I was going to ask the woman I'd loved for 4 years to be my wife. But Sarah wasn't looking at the view. She was looking at a picture of her friend Jessica's hand, displaying a moissanite ring that Sarah had already critiqued as tacky in the car ride over. "Jessica got engaged," Sarah said, her voice flat. She didn't look up. "That's the 3rd one this month, OP. 3 of my friends. Even the ugly ones are getting married." I took a sip of water, trying to steady my nerves. My hand was shaking slightly, but she didn't notice. She never really noticed my anxiety anymore. She was too consumed by her own timeline. "Her ring is nice," I lied, trying to pivot the conversation to something positive. "But honestly, babe, I think you deserve something better than that. Something custom." She finally looked up, her eyes narrowing. "I deserve something, period. I don't care if it's a ring pop at this point. I care that I'm 27 and I'm still just a girlfriend while you play pretend house with me." This was the dynamic lately. Sarah had always been ambitious and driven, traits I loved about her in the beginning. But somewhere around year 3, that drive had curdled into a toxic obsession with status. She didn't want a marriage, she wanted a wedding. She didn't want a partner, she wanted a prop for her social media feed. And then there was Mark. Her phone buzzed on the white tablecloth. The screen lit up. "Mark, work." My stomach tightened. Mark was the work husband, the guy she told me not to worry about. The guy who was just a friend, but who somehow knew about our arguments before I did. He was a sales VP at her company. Flashy, leased BMW, teeth whitened to a blinding degree, and a reputation for sleeping with the interns. "Are you going to get that?" I asked, keeping my voice calm. She glanced at the phone, then at me. A calculated look crossed her face. She picked it up and read the text, a smirk playing on her lips. "He's asking if I'm having fun," she said, deliberately provocative. "He's having a party at his loft downtown. He says the invite is still open if my boring dinner ends early. We're celebrating our anniversary, Sarah," I said, my patience fraying. "Why is he texting you during a romantic dinner?" "Because he pays attention to me," she snapped, loud enough that the couple at the next table glanced over. "He knows what I'm worth. He tells me every day that if he had a woman like me, he wouldn't keep her waiting in limbo for 4 years. He'd lock it down." I felt the ring box against my chest. The irony was suffocating. If she could just wait 30 more minutes, if she could just stop attacking me for 1 second, she would see that I wasn't keeping her in limbo. I was trying to give her perfection. "I'm not keeping you in limbo," I said quietly. "I take this relationship seriously. That's why I don't rush things. I wanted us to be financially stable. I wanted us to be ready." "Stable," she scoffed, practically spitting the word. "You're so obsessed with being stable, OP. It's boring." "Mark isn't boring. Mark takes risks. Mark lives in the moment." She took a long swallow of her wine, draining the glass. Then she set it down with a hard clink. She leaned forward, her eyes cold and hard. "I'm done, OP. I'm done being the girl who waits. I'm done making excuses for you to my family. I'm done watching everyone else start their lives while I'm stuck with a man who needs a spreadsheet to decide what to eat for breakfast." "Sarah, please," I said, glancing around. "Lower your voice." "No," she hissed. "I'm issuing an ultimatum. Because clearly, you don't respect me enough to act unless I force your hand. She pointed a manicured finger at me. You propose tonight. Right now? Or by the time we leave this restaurant? If I don't have a ring on my finger by midnight, I'm taking an Uber to Mark's loft. And I'm not coming back. The air left the room. I stared at her. I waited for a crack in her expression, a sign that she was joking or just venting. But there was nothing but entitlement. She wasn't just threatening to leave. She was threatening to cheat. She had preloaded the ammunition. She had been texting Mark during our anniversary dinner, likely setting this up. You're serious? I asked. You're threatening to sleep with Mark if I don't propose right now? I'm telling you that I have options, she said, leaning back and crossing her arms. Mark has been begging for a chance for months. He says he'd treat me like a queen. So, ball's in your court. Step up or step aside. Something inside me snapped. It wasn't a loud snap. It was the quiet sound of a bridge collapsing in the distance. All the anxiety I had felt about the proposal vanished. The nervousness about the speech I had prepared? Gone. The worry about whether the diamond was big enough? Gone. In its place was a cold, absolute clarity. I looked at this woman, this stranger with the cruel eyes, and I realized I didn't know her at all. I had fallen in love with a version of her that didn't exist anymore. The woman sitting across from me was a hostage taker. And as I'd told myself in business negotiations 1,000 times, you never sign a contract under duress. Okay, I said softly. She blinked, confused by my calm tone. Okay. Okay, what? Okay, you want an answer. I reached into my inner jacket pocket. Sarah's eyes widened. Her breath hitched. I saw the transformation instantly. The anger melted into a greedy, triumphant delight. Her mouth parted slightly. She thought she had won. She thought her manipulation had worked perfectly. I pulled out the box. It was a dark navy velvet, sleek and heavy. I set it on the table between us, right next to the candle. Sarah gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. Oh my God, she whispered, her voice trembling with sudden, fake emotion. Opie, you did. I slowly opened the lid. The restaurant lighting caught the diamond perfectly. It was a 1.5 carat oval cut, flawless clarity, set in a custom platinum band with hidden sapphires underneath, her birthstone. It was stunning. It cost me nearly $15,000. It was the physical manifestation of my love, my loyalty, and my work ethic. She reached for it, tears already welling up in her eyes. Tears of victory, not love. It's beautiful, she choked out. I knew you just needed a push. I knew, snap. I closed the box loud enough to make her jump. I didn't let her touch it. I pulled the box back across the table and slid it into my pocket. What are you doing? She asked, her smile faltering. Give it to me. No, I said. My voice was steady, void of any emotion. I felt like I was talking to a stranger at a bus stop. What? Stop joking. Put it on my finger. I bought this 3 months ago, Sarah, I said, looking her dead in the eye. I worked overtime all summer to pay for it. I called in a favor to get this table. I had the waiter prepped to bring champagne in 10 minutes. I was going to ask you to spend your life with me because I thought you were my partner. I didn't know, she stammered, her face flushing pale. Baby, that's so sweet. But you just looked me in the face, I interrupted, and told me that if I didn't give you a shiny object on your timeline, you were going to go fuck a coworker. I was just mad, she cried, her voice rising again. I didn't mean it like that. I was just trying to motivate you. That's not motivation. That's blackmail, I said. I signaled the waiter, who was hovering nearby, looking awkward. Check, please. Separate checks. Sarah looked at me like I had grown a second head. Separate checks? Opie, stop it. You're ruining the moment. You ruined the moment when you invited Mark into our relationship, I said. I stood up, dropping a $50 bill on the table to cover my portion of the meal and a tip for the poor waiter who had to witness this. Sit down, she demanded, panic starting to edge into her voice. You are not walking out on me. If you walk out that door with that ring, we are done. I swear to God. Opie, I will go to Mark's. I buttoned my jacket, patting the pocket where the ring sat safely against my chest. You should, I said. You and Mark deserve each other. You're both cheap, flashy, and fake. I'm sure you'll be very happy together until he finds someone newer to impress. I turned and walked away. Opie, she screamed. Opie, come back here. Don't you dare walk away from me. I didn't look back. I walked out of Le Jardin, into the cool night air, and for the first time in 4 years, I didn't feel the crushing weight of her expectations. I just felt free. I got into my car, blocked her number, and started driving. I didn't go home. I went to the only place that made sense, a quiet hotel on the other side of town. I thought the hard part was over. I thought she would just disappear. But I underestimated just how far she would go to prove she won the breakup. The nightmare was just starting, but at least I had the ring. And as I would soon find out, that little velvet box was going to be the key to my new life. The hotel room was sterile and quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos I had just left behind. I sat on the edge of the bed, tie undone, staring at the blank television screen. My phone, which I had placed face down on the nightstand, was vibrating so hard it was slowly walking itself toward the edge. I knew I should just go to sleep. I knew the no-contact rule was the only way to handle a narcissist like Sarah. But human curiosity is a curse. I needed to know the blast radius. I picked up the phone. 17 missed calls. 34 text messages. The progression of the texts was a fascinating case study in manipulation. 8:45 p.m. Please pick up. You're overreacting. 8:52 p.m. I didn't mean it. I was just stressed. Don't ruin our anniversary over a stupid comment. 9:15 p.m. Pick up the phone, OP. You're embarrassing me. People are looking. 9:45 p.m. Fine. Act like a child. If you don't answer in 5 minutes, I'm calling Mark. 10:30 p.m. I'm in the Uber. This is on you. 11:15 p.m. Mark is listening to me. He actually cares how I feel. Unlike you. I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. She actually did it. She didn't go to her mom's. She didn't go to her best friends. She went straight to the man she had just threatened me with. I opened Instagram. I knew it was a mistake, but I had to see it with my own eyes to kill the last shred of hope I had. And there it was. Posted 20 minutes ago. A photo of 2 glasses of red wine on a glass coffee table. In the background, out of focus but unmistakable, was the exposed brick wall of a downtown loft. I recognized it from the photos Mark showed off at work parties. The caption read, "Finally with someone who knows my worth. Cheers to new beginnings." Wineglass, she had tagged him. I stared at the image for a long time. For years. For years of loyalty, of supporting her through her law school exams, of paying the rent when she was between jobs, of planning a future. And it took her less than 3 hours to replace me with the office player because I didn't give her a piece of jewelry fast enough. I didn't cry. I didn't throw the phone. I felt something much stranger, relief. If I had proposed tonight, if I had caved to her ultimatum, this is the woman I would have married. A woman who kept a backup plan in her back pocket. A woman who weaponized her sexuality to punish me. I screenshotted the post. Then I screenshotted her texts threatening to go to Mark's. I saved them to a cloud folder named Evidence. Then, I blocked her number. I blocked her Instagram. I blocked Mark. I blocked her sister, who was already blowing up my phone calling me a commitment phobe. I turned off the lights, lay back on the stiff hotel pillows, and for the first time in months, I didn't worry about whether Sarah was happy. She was Mark's problem now. I woke up at 6 a.m. with the clarity of a man on a mission. The emotional part of my brain had shut down. The logistical part was firing on all cylinders. I knew Sarah's schedule. She would call out of work today. She always did when she was emotional or hungover. She would likely stay at Mark's until noon, playing the victim, soaking up his validation. That gave me a 6-hour window. I called my landlord at 8 a.m. sharp. "Mr. Henderson, it's OP. I need to break my lease." "You've got 6 months left," he grunted. "That's a 2-month penalty fee. Plus you lose the security deposit." "Fine," I said. "I'll wire it today. I just need my name off the lease immediately. Sarah can stay if she wants to sign a new one, but I am legally vacating as of today." Next, I called a moving company that specialized in emergency moves. They cost double, but they could be there in an hour. I drove to the apartment. It felt like a crime scene. The ghosts of our life together were everywhere. The throw blanket we bought in Vermont. The coffee maker she insisted we needed. I didn't touch her things. I packed my clothes, my computer, my books, and the furniture I had brought into the relationship. I left the bed. I didn't want it. I left the TV. I left anything that we had bought together. I wanted a clean ledger. By 11:30 a.m., the apartment was half empty. My keys were on the counter next to a printed screenshot of her Instagram post from the night before. No note. No explanation. Just the photo. My last stop was the jeweler. Walking back into Goldman & Sons less than 24 hours after picking up the ring was humiliating, but I swallowed my pride. I asked for Mr. Goldman, the owner, who had helped me design it. He smiled when he saw me, but the smile faded instantly when he saw the look on my face. She didn't like the cut? He asked gently. She didn't get the chance to see it, I said, placing the navy box on the glass counter. I need to sell it back. Mr. Goldman sighed, taking out his loupe. Son, you know how this works. I can't give you retail price. Once it leaves the store. I know, I interrupted. Market value. Just give me a number. He examined it for a moment, doing the mental math. I can give you 9,000. Maybe 9,500 if I scrap the setting and just keep the stone. I had paid nearly 15,000. A $5,000 loss in less than a day. In any other context, that would be a financial disaster. But as I stood there, I did the math differently. A divorce would cost me half my assets. Alimony would cost me monthly payments for years. A wedding would have cost me 40,000. Do it, I said. 30 minutes later, I walked out with a check. I didn't buy a Ferrari. I didn't buy a Rolex. I used the money to pay the lease break penalty. I used it to put a deposit down on a sleek, modern one-bedroom apartment in a quiet part of the city, a place with no exposed brick and no memories. And with the leftover $3,000, I booked a solo flight to Italy for the week I was supposed to be on our engagement moon. My phone buzzed again as I got into my car. It was our mutual friend, Dave. Dave, dude, Sarah is freaking out. She says you ghosted her and locked her out? That's messed up, man. She's crying her eyes out. Sarah had started the spin campaign. She was the victim. I was the cruel ex who abandoned her. I didn't argue. I didn't type out a paragraph defending myself. I simply sent Dave 2 images. The text where she said, propose by midnight or I'm sleeping with Mark. The Instagram photo of her at Mark's place 2 hours later. 3 dots appeared as Dave typed. Then stopped. Then typed again. Dave, holy SHD. Never mind. You dodged a bullet, bro. I'll handle the group chat. Asterisk I threw the phone on the passenger seat. I drove to my new empty apartment, sat on the floor, and ordered a pizza. It was the best meal I had eaten in years. I thought I was free. I thought she would just stay with Mark and live her upgraded life. But I forgot one thing. Mark wasn't looking for a wife. He was looking for a good time. And Sarah was about to find out that the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's just artificial turf painted over a septic tank. They say the grass is greener where you water it. Sarah learned the hard way that the grass is also greener over a septic tank. It's lush, vibrant, and full of sh*t. I spent that first week in Italy, drinking wine on the Amalfi Coast, turning my phone off for 12 hours at a time. It was the reset button I didn't know I needed. When I returned, I felt different. Lighter. The ghost of the relationship was fading faster than I expected, mostly because the manner of her betrayal had cauterized the wound instantly. But while I was rebuilding, Sarah was unraveling. I got the full story from Dave over beers a month later. He didn't want to tell me, but after 3 IPAs, he couldn't help himself. Apparently, the Mark era lasted exactly 3 weeks. The dynamic shifted the moment Sarah showed up at Mark's loft that night with her overnight bag. Mark was a guy who liked the chase. He liked the illicit thrill of flirting with another man's girlfriend at the office water cooler. He liked the ego boost of being the better option. He did not like the reality of a girlfriend. Once Sarah was single and sitting on his leather couch expecting a relationship, the fantasy evaporated. She started applying the same pressure to him that she had applied to me. She wanted to define the relationship. She wanted him to stop texting other women. She wanted to move in because her lease was up since I had terminated ours. Mark, being the quintessential corporate player, didn't issue an ultimatum. He just ghosted her, in person. He started working late. He went on business trips that didn't exist. The end came when Sarah found a dating app notification on his phone. She screamed at him, using the same "know my worth" speech she had used on me. Mark's response wasn't to cower or apologize. He laughed. According to the office gossip, he told her, "Sarah, you cheated on your boyfriend of 4 years to be with me. Why would I trust you? You're a fun time, not a long time." He kicked her out of the loft at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. Because she had burned her bridge with me, and because our mutual friends had seen the receipts I sent Dave, she had nowhere to go. She had to move back in with her parents in the suburbs, a fate she considered worse than death. But the worst part for her wasn't the breakup. It was the realization of what she had walked away from. Dave told me that a week after Mark dumped her, Sarah went to Goldman and Sons to try and find out if I had actually bought a ring, or if I had been bluffing with an empty box. Mr. Goldman, loyal to the end, didn't tell her the specs. He just told her, he was very excited to give it to you. It was one of the finest stones I've sold this year. A shame he had to sell it back. She knew. She knew she had traded a custom platinum engagement ring and a loyal man for a 3-week fling with a guy who had her name saved in his phone as Sarah, work. I thought that would be the end of it. I thought the shame would keep her away. I was wrong. Desperation is a powerful drug, and Sarah was overdosing on it. 6 months passed. I was doing well. I had lost 15 pounds, mostly from cooking my own meals instead of ordering the takeout Sarah always wanted. My bank account was recovering. I had even started casually dating a pediatrician named Elena, a woman who, on our 3rd date, insisted on splitting the bill because we're a team. I was leaving my gym on a Tuesday evening, headphones on, feeling the endorphin high of a personal best on the bench press. Up. The voice was thin and shaky. I stopped and pulled my headphones down around my neck. Sarah was standing near the bike rack. She looked diminished. The confident, arrogant woman from Le Jardin was gone. She was wearing old sweatpants. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. "Hello, Sarah," I said. My pulse didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I waited for the anger to come, but it didn't. I just felt a dull, distant pity. "Can we talk?" she asked, wrapping her arms around herself. "Just for 5 minutes. I promise." "I don't think that's a good idea," I said, moving to unlock my car. "Please," she begged, stepping in front of the door. Her eyes were wet. I need you to know that I'm sorry. I messed up, OP. I messed up so bad." I sighed, leaning against the car door. "You didn't mess up, Sarah. You made a choice. There's a difference." "I was confused," she cried. I was feeling insecure, and Mark was in my ear telling me all these things, and I panicked. "I thought you were stringing me along. I didn't know you had the ring. Would it have mattered?" I asked. "Yes, of course." She looked at me with wide, pleading eyes. "If I had known you were going to propose, I never would have looked at him. I wanted to be your wife." I laughed. It was a dry, humorless sound. "Listen to yourself," I said quietly. "You're saying that your loyalty has a price tag. You're saying that if I had shown you the diamond 5 minutes earlier, you wouldn't have cheated. That's not love, Sarah. That's a transaction." She flinched as if I had slapped her. "I love you. I still love you. Mark was nothing. He was a mistake. I miss us. I miss our apartment. I miss you." She reached out to touch my arm. I took a step back. "There is no us," I said firmly. "The guy who loved you died the second you threatened to sleep with another man to get what you wanted." She wiped her nose with her sleeve, desperate now. "We can fix this. I know we can. I've changed. I'm in therapy. Just tell me there's a chance. Tell me you didn't spend the ring money on something stupid. We could use it for a down payment on a house. We could start over." I looked at her, really looked at her. She was still trying to negotiate. Even in her rock bottom, she was thinking about the money. She was thinking about the asset I had liquidated. "I didn't spend the money on something stupid," I said. Hope flared in her eyes. "You still have it? Or the money?" "I spent it on my freedom," I said. "I lost $5,000 on the resale value of that ring. And it was the best investment I ever made." "Investment?" she whispered. "It paid for the lease break, so I didn't have to live with you. It paid for the movers. It paid for a trip to Italy where I realized I enjoy being alone more than I enjoyed being with you. And the rest." I pointed to the new car behind me. Nothing flashy, just reliable and paid off. It paid off my car note. I have zero debt, Sarah. I have zero drama. And I have zero interest in going backward. Her face crumpled. The reality finally hit her. There was no ring. There was no money stashed away for her redemption arc. There was just me, healthy and whole, standing over the wreckage of the life she burned down. "You're cruel," she sobbed. "How can you just turn it off like that?" "I didn't turn it off," I said, opening my car door. "You did. You gave me an ultimatum. Propose by midnight or you leave. I just helped you pack." I got in the car. She stood there crying on the sidewalk, shouting something about how I would regret this, how I would never find anyone like her. I started the engine. The sound drowned her out. As I pulled out of the parking lot, I checked my rearview mirror one last time. She was small, shrinking in the distance, still screaming at a taillight that was already fading away. I put my car in drive and merged into traffic. I had a date with Elena at 8 o'clock, and unlike Sarah, she didn't care about timelines or price tags. She just wanted to know if I liked Italian food. And for the first time in a long time, I was hungry. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.